I was 12 years old, I started having major back pain. And about 4 times a year, I was flat on my back with back pain. We didn't know what it was, but we knew that my grandfather had a similar thing that happened. He was in a wheelchair for half of his life. And so it was very scary. When I was 25, 26, I was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis, which is a rheumatoid arthritis condition. And so when I go to the rheumatologist, it's me and a bunch of 80-year-olds. So, which is kind of scary being in there. And my rheumatologist, Dr. Bell, said, face it, James, you have ankylosing spondylitis. And what's going to happen is your spine's going to fuse all the way up and you're going to lose all mobility in your body and in your hips. But the good news is it won't hurt quite as much once it fuses. And I looked at her and I was like, Dr. Bell, you're fired. I was like, I'm going to hire a doctor that believes that healing is possible. And she kind of laughed and says, well, let me know how that goes. Well, that was 20 years ago. I've been in remission for the last 15 years. I went to a support group and they were the miserablest bunch of people on these awful biologic medications, which they have a place for sure. But I said to them, I was like, whatever you guys are doing isn't working. And I started using Somatics and I started really like touching my body, my back, and instead of saying I've got a bad back, like I said for most of my life, I started apologizing to this. And I'm sorry for not supporting you in the way that you needed. And I started like really listening, and I did some breath work, somatic breath work. And within that breath work, I got a vision, and it said the same thing that doctors have been telling me, which is if you don't use it, if you don't walk, you're going to lose the ability to walk. But I saw myself in a wheelchair, and I heard that voice, use it or lose it. And I heard it so deep in my bones, and I felt the truth of it, that I walk every day. I used to walk kind of like an old man. It was really scary for people. And I don't have any of that. In fact, I go hiking every day and I lead trips out into the wilderness in Ireland. And nobody would have ever thought that was possible. And it's because of somatics and self-love that has made that possible.